How are you doing, Toddy?
I'm doing good, Millennial. Thanks for having me on your show.
You are welcome. Thanks for coming. We should have Becca Scoops in here later. I'm not sure she'll be able to stay the whole time. She's got an interview later this afternoon, but hopefully she'll pop in.
We'll
I
be
uh, I'm off camera, y'all, because I had to catch my other goldfish to get him in good water because I'm not sure what's going on since I lost Biggie. If you saw in the last video, unfortunately, sadly, but I'm trying to save Coolio and figure out what's going on with the water.
me and Coolio down by the schoolyard.
Oh, so yeah, this book, Sickened, it's by a lady, Julie Gregory, and the foreword to it by, as we all know, Dr. Mark Feldman sent me on a rabbit hole of its own. As you know, I went to Googling him and then I found Dr. Kenneth Feldman and all that,
Right?
and really went in a little rabbit hole here. But I thought I would read Mark Feldman's foreword and we could discuss that first.
Okie dokie. Let's do it.
If you want me to pause to say something anytime, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay, here's the foreword by Mark Feldman, y'all. Munchausen by proxy may be the single most complex and lethal form of maltreatment known today. It is formally defined as the falsification or induction of physical and/or emotional illness by a caretaker of a dependent person. In most cases, the perpetrator is a mother and the victim is her own child. Baron Karl von Munchausen was a real historical figure, a soldier and an adventurer of the 18th century who became notorious for his outrageous stories. In 1951, a British physician borrowed the Baron's name and introduced the term Munchausen syndrome for people who feign or produce illness in themselves to gain sympathy, nurturance, and control over others. In turn, MBP was coined to describe those who substitute or proxy for the same reasons. It is conservatively estimated that 1,200 new cases of MBP are reported annually in the United States, with proportional numbers in other countries based on their populations. However, many more cases go unreported, indeed entirely undetected, due to the covert nature of the maltreatment. A recent study indicates that when a case of MBP is finally recognized, up to 25% of the sickened child's siblings have already died, most likely earlier symptoms of the perpetrator. Only when the same patterns of symptoms appear in the second child of the family, or the third or fourth or fifth, have professionals and legal authorities been forced to realize that motherhood can twist into a strange illness type related of abuse. Unlike battering or sexual violation, defies ready categorization. Even though the FBI has been vigilantly aware of MBP for several years, Munchausen by proxy is still a public health tragedy that, paradoxically, has been largely hidden from the public. So there's a little more, but I wanted to break in here and say, I mean, the real cases of Munchausen by proxy that we've read about are absolutely horrifying and terrifying. But the way that he describes it, it's like you should have the FBI looking at every mother to see if they have Munchausen by proxy. Did you get that impression, Teddy?
Well, I got the impression that it's a lot more common than people think.
According to Dr. Feldman, yeah. I kind of wonder whenever he said, mention these studies and stuff that indicate
Wait,
it is so common. Did him and the other Feldman, the Kenneth Feldman, do those studies?
when was the book? When was the foreword written?
Let me look here. The book was published in 2003, so I assume that the foreword was written around that time.
Well, you know, I could see. I think that the society, unfortunately, has has really declined in such a way that I could see parents doing this a lot more often for attention and for whether it be emotional or sympathetic gain or
Yeah.
financial gain. You know,
So you think it actually is pretty common?
I think that it's probably more common than we know, right? Because that's always the case. There's always something going on that we don't know about, right? So it's
Yeah.
definitely more common than we know. But I think it's even going to be more so. And I think that Gypsy could be responsible for some of that, to be honest with you. And I think she is responsible for some of that. Is we've seen cases, where kids have unalived, and I don't know if they have directly said it was because of Gypsy, or if content creators and news people have said that. It's hard to determine, but
Yeah.
um, I could see, yeah, because I mean, first of all, it's very difficult, very hard to live in this world, right? Because like for anything, it's just so friggin' expensive to live in this world, and to pay all the bills, and then half the time people are doing it alone. Now,
Yeah, but that's
you know,
grifting, and he's
yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah, yeah. I
about
was just gonna say. Now, I was just gonna say, are people actually hurting their kids, or are people um, claiming things are wrong with their kids? I don't
yeah,
know. Look
and
at how many people are hurting their kids. Millennial, is it that far off? I mean, seriously, look at how many
it's
people are actually hurting their
it's
kids.
complicated because, some of the real cases of Munchausen by proxy, like I said, they're absolutely horrifying. We were talking about it on Becca's live the other night, and, something that happened one time that I read about is a kid with a feeding tube. They put some sort of drain cleaner in it,
Ah,
disintegrated their
yeah.
intestines,
See,
like
you have, yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
You've
like,
heard of the salt
we're
being
talking
put.
about the
Yeah.
real stuff, but whenever it's real like that, it seems like it would be so obvious, you know what I mean? Like, the child is actually hurt, and then you've got the Feldmans being accused by and sued, or Kenneth Feldman being sued by multiple families because every time they can't diagnose a kid, he assumes the mother has Munchausen by proxy.
Well, you can't do that either, but I think there is a happy medium.
Oh, there
And
should be, yeah, for
I
sure,
mean,
and
definitely, I don't, there should be right away when a kid comes in and there is an issue that's unexplained, because I remember one of my siblings getting really, really sick. And by the time they were brought in to the doctors or hospital, they were starting to feel better, and they claimed it as like a 24-hour bug. And I mean, they got viciously sick. Did they get into something that we were unaware of? I mean, I don't know, but I don't, that's a hard call right there. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I do think it's more common than we know.
uh-huh,
And I do think that it's something that needs to be on the radar. Not everything, but there should be an easy test as far as poisoning. Just check for poison, isn't there? There's got to be
right.
something that checks. So go ahead and just nip that in the bud. And of course, if your child's hurt, physically or something like that, then you have to go in there
Yeah.
and ask questions that aren't comfortable questions, and you have to separate the child from the parent. And
Thank you
that's
so
a
much
good
for that
conversation
clarification.
for Rebecca Michelot, because she's all up in that, as far
Yeah,
as
for sure. Steph Girl one said in the comments, I think malingering is more likely on the rise
all
with
right.
social media. And I totally, totally agree because it's more easy for people to create a story on social media
Absolutely.
and take in
Absolutely so.
donations without actually hurting the child. And, that's grifting and what it
But
seems like
it does
most
hurt the
of
child.
TV.
Don't you think that hurts the child too? Because if
Well, yeah,
you
I've
teach,
always said that. I've
yeah, of
been real
course.
clear on that.
Yeah, because if you teach a child just shortcuts in life, you are really, really showing them a disadvantage. And when you don't teach a child right from wrong, you are definitely, giving them there's a disadvantage. Hi, Kathy Hannah. Hi, Gen X. Red Valentine. How you doing? Go ahead.
Yeah, I've always been clear that I felt like even though it was done out of desperation, that one of the form of abuse that happened is that Dee Dee didn't teach Gypsy to do anything but grift and steal, basically, and she still kind of does it.
Yeah, but that's not true. I don't think that. I mean, Gypsy, as you said yourself, I mean, like maybe we're getting off topic. I'm sorry. There's a pretty handsome guy in the comments that's trying to gift memberships, and apparently not allowed to gift memberships. So
Oh,
instead,
no.
he's just giving you money now. Guy's just
Yeah.
giving you money. You might want to check him out.
I don't know
Um,
why it won't, allow membership gifting, that's odd.
I don't know either. But I think that I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I was talking about that
Okay,
handsome
well,
guy.
you had just said that, you think it's wrong and, abusive to teach a kid to grift, to raise them
Right.
that way, and I agreed with you, and so that's always been what I've maintained, that that was one of the abusive things that Dee Dee did, was not teach Gypsy any better than that, than to always grift and steal, but then you said
Oh,
that
that's
was not
right.
what
But
you
I
meant.
was, yeah, because I was giving her credit, listen, she did teach her that. I don't think I'm not going to even, go up for a debate in that. There was actually something I saw today, and I'm pretty sure that I took a screen of it. It was, I want to say, is it Annie Elise? It was Annie Elise who was talking to her sister, I want to say,
Uh-huh.
about the Menendez brothers, and then they reflected on what they didn't know and what they now know from Gypsy Rose. So that's good. I just wanted to put that out there. So Becca making all that noise, and all of us making all that noise, to be honest with you, is making a
Oh,
difference.
good.
So
Oh,
that's
look at
Annie
Angel
Elise.
Baby, gifted a membership. Thank you, Angel Baby.
Annie Elise, shout out, because that's a pretty huge channel, to be honest with you. So that's pretty good.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, but excuse me. I think that uh, you know, Gypsy has chosen this. I think that there were things, obviously, and somebody had sent me, a couple of the subscribers had sent me the Hurricane Katrina documentary that's now playing on one of the channels. I forget.
Yeah.
And what that, and all of them wrote that I'm not mad at Dee Dee for getting her out of there. I'm not mad at Dee Dee. But here's what I was gonna say. She taught her, right, millennial. Like, we've talked about this, but let me tell you something. Gypsy's not stupid, and Gypsy has knows. I mean, come on, man. Like, she reads pretty well. We've both given her credit
Yeah.
for her writing and the way she expresses herself.
Right.
She's pretty articulate, and you got to credit Dee Dee on that. You know what I'm saying? So
Well,
Gypsy
sure,
can
but that
say,
doesn't take away from the other.
no, not at all, not at all. But what
Mhm.
I'm saying is, it's not just one thing she taught her. The grift now is all on Gypsy's doing. This is all
Well,
on
yeah.
her choice. It's not because this
I
is all
mean,
she
she
was taught.
killed Dee
Because
Dee 10
this
years
wasn't
ago.
all.
Dee Dee
But
hasn't
this
been
wasn't
teaching
all
her
she was
anything for
taught,
20
though.
years.
But what I'm saying is, this isn't all she was taught. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't believe for a second that that was all she was taught. I think that Gypsy actually probably had some tools that she could have done better in life had she have wanted to. But Gypsy's lazy, and she doesn't want to be held accountable for anything. And when do we stop blaming Dee Dee for that? You know.
Yeah, I mean, Gypsy had all that time in prison to rehabilitate herself, and nothing she's done since Dee Dee's death is Dee Dee's fault. But, I'm never not going to say that raising a child off grifting and teaching them that isn't bad.
Oh, it's absolutely bad. We
Yeah.
both agree with that. Both
Yeah,
agree,
for
and we
sure.
both agree that that's not a reason to unalive somebody either. That's not
Yeah,
the excuse. Yeah, no, no,
definitely.
no. We're on the same side as that. Absolutely. I have found no grace for Gypsy. As a matter of
Yeah,
fact, it's
me
gotten worse
neither.
over the course of time, because she hasn't one time given her mom credit for anything.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
So the next part of this forward by Mark Feldman, he says, I entered the strange world of MBP begrudgingly. Having been primarily interested in Munchausen syndrome, I was reluctant to enter the difficult and troubling arena of child neglect and abuse. However, being a Munchausen expert meant attempting to master its variants. It meant wading into the waters of child protection, despite the fact that MBP perpetrators almost invariably deny their actions, even when caught on tape. I have since consulted and testified nationally in numerous MBP cases. often before judges and juries who are dubious that such a bizarre form of abuse can even exist. I have discussed the syndrome in my own books and in chapters for books by others, and have answered over 1,000 related inquiries through telephone, mail, and email. I have worked in the field of MBP essentially every day for over a decade, and it still breaks my heart. One day, while trolling the internet for links to expand my website, I came across a new and important perspective on MBP. A woman named Julie Gregory had launched her own site where she shared aspects of her MBP victimization through vivid writing and moving photographs. She described her best interest in writing a book, and I emailed my encouragement, thus beginning a relationship that has culminated here. And second, we get an unprecedented look into the experience of MBP. There are over 500 clinical articles and subjects on the book, but until now, no one has told the full story of MBP from the inside. Julie Gregory grew up not in a playground among friends, but in a weirdly structured and antiseptic world of doctors' offices and hospitals. Her life was completely focused on the falsely constructed world of her various illnesses, and the caregivers and doctors who might have nurtured her were co opted into damaging both her body and her soul. Indeed, doctors are the unwitting accomplices in MBP, conditioned to have blind faith in what they are told by patients and families. It is undeniable what a parent says is usually the best guide to what's wrong with a child, so it takes an enormous shift in attitude for a physician to accept that the stories ring untrue, that the tests or results are normal, that no treatment ever works, then no amount of testing is ever enough, and that the parent is more accurately called a perpetrator. Of course, the best lies are the ones that mix fact and fiction. Children can show real symptoms, yet somehow they are created and can remain conveniently undisclosed. So, what weirds me out about this part is,
I just want to tell you that that good-looking gentleman in the chat was able to gift 10 memberships to
aw,
your channel, and he had to get on the computer to do it.
thank you, baby. For y'all that don't know, 1970 is my husband.
I thought that we would keep him going. Go ahead.
Thank you. So yeah, so the part that weirds me out about what I just read is the the pretending that they might be sick for grifting and for attention. Are they labeling that as the same as physical abuse? Thank you, Susan Ryan, for that super chat.
Um,
Because
that's
some,
not.
like I said, some of these MBP cases, like the abuse is physical, and oh, it's terrible. Like one person injected fecal matter into her son.
I
I
heard
told you,
that. I've heard that
yeah,
one before.
told you
I've heard
about the
that. You got
drainage.
a new member
Oh,
rebrand.
thank you, Rebrand. I appreciate that. In the first chapter of this book, I got super grossed out. The woman was feeding this girl matches, having her suck the end of matches,
For
unlit
the
matches.
sulfur,
Do what?
for the sulfur.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that. Is
I'm
that
not
something
even,
people do?
well, I mean, not commonly, no.
Gotcha. Oh,
Rebrand
thank you,
gifted.
Rebrand.
That was nice, huh? Look at
That
that.
was super nice. I appreciate that.
Um, I see Munchausen by proxy was the original way that I thought, where, well, I mean, I don't know, like that's definitely, it overlaps with just regular abuse, doesn't it?
Yeah, to a certain extent, but I don't know that, somebody grifting and conning would warrant the same kind of response as someone actually physically hurting their child. Because when they suspect Munchausen by proxy, they take the child away right away. That's why all those families sued Kenneth Feldman. And while I do think that, teaching a child to lie and grift and stuff is bad and a form of abuse, the correction and remedy to that, I'm not sure that it calls for traumatic removal, it calls for correction of the parent. Like, I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I could change my opinion on those things. What do you think, Dottie?
Oh, I think that one is a lot more obviously, it needs attention
Yeah.
right away. And the other one I agree with. It could be maybe handled. There's Into the Weeds is in here.
Hey, Into the Weeds. I'm going to try and turn up your microphone a little bit, Toddy. You're kind of low.
Oh, maybe because I wasn't close enough. I'm sorry. How's
Oh,
that?
gotcha.
I'm sorry. That's
Yeah,
all me.
that's better.
Okay, let me come back into the world. Hang on, guys. I'm coming. Sorry about that. Hang on.
No worries.
I'm coming around the mountain when I come. Yeehaw! Okay, so I do think that some of the stuff is more necessary and demands or commands immediate attention, where some is obviously can be handled, I would think, at least with therapy. I don't think you take your child away because you're grifting per se, but if you're actually physically hurting your child, hell yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
right.
doesn't that make sense? That obviously makes sense.
That's my point too, and it seems like Feldman here equates the two under Munchausen by proxy.
Well, I guess I mean I don't understand that because I think the two are totally different. There's two titles for things. There's Becca Scoops.
Hey,
Hey,
guys,
Becca.
how are you guys doing?
How you doing, Becca Scoops?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. I was just reading Feldman's foreword, and we were discussing the fact that when he was talking about Munchausen by proxy, and I was telling Toddy about some of the details. Oh, thank you, Bella. That is so sweet. Yeah, the VC Andrew Ruby book. She definitely mirrored that. I was telling Toddy about some of the details that we all talked about of, Munchausen by proxy abuse when it's real physical on your show last night.
Yes.
And how horrifying it is. But whenever we're reading Feldman's description of it here, it kind of sounds like he equates, falsifying symptoms for attention and money with the actually hurting the child under that title of Munchausen.
So you mean he sees them as equal, like
That's
the
the
same
kind of the
thing?
feeling that I'm getting.
That's
And
interesting.
that to me is dangerous because of what we learned about Kenneth Feldman and all those families where the children got taken away unfairly. A rare diagnosis was found later.
Well,
And
right.
they
I mean, if
thought,
you're just like an overly OCD mom, you're going to get accused of this, right?
right, or a hypochondriac. And being a
Right.
hypochondriac and having anxiety is not a
Yep.
crime.
You know, it kind of touches home with me. My sister was born with 3 kidneys, and they didn't find out until she started to have urinary tract infections when she was about 3 or 4 years old.
Wow.
2 of her kidneys weren't working, and so my mom became hyper focused on my sister because she could die, and they had to do this. They didn't even have an operation to do on her. They had to make up an operation to fix her
Oh,
issue.
wow.
And so most of my childhood, my mom was very she was like that, with my sister.
Right.
And yeah, I could see her being accused of that, huh?
Overprotective, overzealous.
Yeah.
More than that, my mom like kind of lost herself mentally, like kind of had what used to be called a nervous breakdown when I was about 8 years old, over it.
Wow.
And then after she recovered, it was just the lingering effects on my mom. I won't forget that she, anything that had to do with my sister's health was just, she wasn't in her right mind. Let's put it that way.
What about you guys? What about the rest of you, if you don't mind me asking? Because I had a brother that almost died from nephritis, a kidney thing as well, right? You know, nephritis, right?
Yeah.
And he's actually in one of the he was in the Guinness Book of World Record for being the youngest person to ever have it. I mean,
Wow.
so he was incredibly young, and I mean, I didn't know the seriousness of his illness because I'm younger than him, and he was about maybe 5 when this happened. I remember him being in Jackson Memorial Hospital and being in a coma for a really long time and hearing. So I mean, my mom was like overprotective of all of us because it's scary, right? But was your
Yeah.
mom just over your sister or just all of you? Because it sounds like
No, it was just me and my sister growing up. My mom was a great mom to me. She was very, but
right,
no, she did. I was like the healthy one. I was to be my sister's protector. My sister's fine. She
Yeah.
she got married,
right,
had kids and everything. She had a good life. My sister is still
Good.
alive. She has a good life.
right.
But yeah, no, my mom wasn't like that with me. It was with my sister. And yeah. So
Oh, because I was okay. All right. Sorry about that. It just seemed like
no,
you know what I mean. Like she might be overprotective of all of her kids because I'm sure that it's very frightening when you feel like. I mean, how helpless could it be? Obviously,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Right.
And like Becca said, her mom obviously become, obsessive over this to the point of a nervous breakdown. Not everyone does that. But I think any caring mom with a sick child would obsessively, especially in the age of the internet. Wow.
That's hey, sorry, I'm smoking under my thing. Sorry, guys. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. I'm really sorry. Okay,
Oh, you're good. But, especially in the age of the
wake
internet,
up.
you would just start researching obsessively,
Right.
trying to find an answer,
Yes.
trying to find an answer, and they consider that a sign.
That
And then they started talking about how, what to look for when a parent or caregiver is accused of Munchausen by proxy, and they're like, "Oh, some will vehemently deny, but some will remain calm." Either is a sign, and it's like, "Oh my
it's
god,
like, well, then you
any
can't win. You
response."
can't
Yeah,
win,
any
right?
response.
Yeah, here's the problem with psychiatric diagnoses apart from other medical diagnosis. Other medical diagnosis, if you have cancer or you have a virus, there's a way to confirm that, right? There's lab
Yeah,
tests you can do to confirm that. But the problem with psychiatric diagnosis is there's no way to really confirm a lot of these disorders. It's kind of like it's not a science. It's a science, but you know what I mean? You can't, there's no lab test to say, "Oh, you have Munchausen's. I tested your blood and you have it." You
Right,
know?
right.
right,
So
right.
then you have to rely on the practitioner. You have to rely on this person, and this is the problem. Exactly what you're describing here is that now
Mhm.
they've got an MD after their name or whatever, PhD, and they're saying you have this. And
Yeah.
it's
But
very
isn't there
dangerous.
guidelines? I mean, there's guidelines, right, Becca? I mean, there's got to be pretty precise guidelines, or
Well,
no?
Oh my
that's
god.
Oh,
DSM-5,
look, we
yeah.
got from Jenna. Sorry, I just want to make sure that you see that you get super stickers and
Oh,
stuff.
thank you, Jenna. Toddy, one of the guidelines apparently, one of the things to look for is that they're female.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
I said in a video that was hoping surely that in 2025 that would have been removed from the guidelines. Several commenters told me it's still in the DSM.
It is. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and Becca
Wow.
too.
Yeah. So for psychiatry, there's this big book called the DSM-5, and in it they list all the disorders, and then basically they give you the criteria. And then they'll say something like, if you have 5 of the 7, then you probably have this disorder. So really you have to rely on the psychiatrist, to I don't
Thank
know.
you, Jenna.
Yeah, it can get crazy if you don't have a good psychiatrist or psychologist who's talking to you. They can just say, "Well, I think you have 5 of the 7
And
criteria."
once they write it down in your file, how hard is it to get it out, right?
You can't get it out. It's been written in your medical records, and at that point, if you were
One of
diagnosed
the
with something.
families that sued Kenneth Feldman, not only lost their life savings in this legal battle and stuff, and then didn't win because he was protected. He also refused to move the child abuse Munchausen by proxy flag off that mother's file, and she had a terrible time actually getting care after that for her other children.
Oh my god. It's just horrible. Just
Yeah, it's
terrible.
crazy.
Yeah, it's
So
very
here's the
crazy.
next
We got a
section.
super chat.
Oh, thank you, Ellie. Thank you so much. Y'all are so generous. I appreciate it. Okay, a parent can be ruthless in her quest to garner emotional satisfaction from the ailments of her child. She needn't be highly educated, only persuasive. If MBP perpetrators find that interest is waning in the drama of their selfless caretaking, they can move on to new audiences, new hospitals, new emergency rooms. They often scour textbooks or the internet for medical information to enhance performances that could put any good actress to shame. As Julie got older, it might seem to the reader that she colluded with her mother in misleading the doctors. Did she? Never. She was simply overpowered. How can a child counter her mother's total self absorption, an impenetrable world that is a whole unto itself? We know that even adult MBP victims may not disclose the true sources of their illness out of fear of abandonment or punishment if they stop being sick. Or the elements creep into the MBP picture such as Stockholm Syndrome, epitomized by Patty Hearst adopting the cause of her violent abductors. Children often protect their abusers and resist making revelations to the very medical and social service personnel who could rescue them. Thicken does not consist of unreliable memories covered through the hypnosis or a therapist leading questions, but of events that were never forgotten, a blessing and a curse for Julie. They were further validated by Julie's compiling the whole messy, disturbing stack of her medical records. It is from these records we see how easily a mother's lives become insidiously transformed into medical fact. What do y'all think about that? I haven't read the book yet, so I'm not sure exactly what he was referring to with Julie here. It sounds
Yeah.
like her abuse was pretty physical. I mean, I was telling Toddy the first chapter has the mother feeding her matchsticks as a little girl, having her suck on the end of matchsticks.
Yeah.
Never heard of such a thing. But so it seems like her abuse was very, very physical.
Becca, why would somebody for the sulfur, but why?
What? Why would they do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Matchsticks.
for the sulfur, right? But I mean, like, why? People are saying
Well,
I'm too loud in the chat, so I don't know. Am I better now?
Oh, I'll try turning you down a little bit. You're
All right.
yeah, I mean, I guess, it's the same reason all of these the true cases of Munchausen, you see these parents doing things to their child to make them ill. So that's the only thing I can think.
Right, of course, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, what would sulfur do? Like, what does
I don't
sulfur
know.
do?
I'm not sure. I'm
Oh
sure
no,
not
okay.
overdose of sulfur. I guess it would poison you.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. All right.
You've never heard of anyone doing that before?
No, I haven't.
I hadn't either.
Well, I'm gonna look it up.
Cool.
It
Yeah,
says it may
it's
cause diarrhea, a burning sensation, breathing in sulfur dust can irritate the airways and cause coughing. I just overlooked sulfur. I know that there's this is kind of a side note, but I know there's a weird disorder that sometimes women, I think pregnant women get. It's called pica pica. Have you ever heard of this? And you eat weird, like you want to like consume non-food substances,
I've heard
and
of pregnant women eating like freezer frost and stuff.
yeah, this is like weird, like dirt, like there's something that like their body's craving, some kind of something, and they'll eat clay, they'll eat, yeah. So it's weird, but matchsticks, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone craving matchsticks.
No, the kid wasn't craving it,
No,
right?
I
Like,
know, yeah,
oh, okay. But I
yeah.
heard the thing about what you were talking about. I've heard about that before.
Pika pika, yeah.
That's what
Thank
you're
you, Mighty Mulatto. Some people eat ant piles due to iron deficiency. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ugh, that's crazy. It reminds me of Ozzy snorting that line of ants. Ozzy Osbourne.
right. No, I knew what you were
It
talking
said
about.
that eating matchsticks can cause serious health problems and should be avoided. Thank you. A single matchstick tip may only cause minor upset stomach, but ingesting large quantities can lead to liver and kidney damage or even death. In most cases,
Wow.
listen to this. In most cases, the underlying cause is the eating disorder pica. Just what I told. It's weird. I just told you that.
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
so smart.
That's
No,
You are.
wild.
That's what,
Yeah, you
and
are.
that's why I asked you, Becca Scoops, because I knew you'd have
I
the
was
answer.
joking. Yeah. Well, thank you.
I know. I know you were joking. I know you're not that vain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if she was trying to induce symptoms for a visit or something. And,
I bet you so. I bet you so.
do you think Becca that's something that they would have ever been able to test for and catch, that she was feeding her,
Yeah,
sulfur to make her sick?
I'm gonna say no, because even, like, in real poisoning cases where someone's, like, been brought into the ER and they're near death, a lot of times you just don't know what to test for. So there's not,
Yeah,
like, any one, like, broad test, like, if I you have to know the specific thing you're testing for, like, if it's cyanide, you know? So yeah, that would be I don't think that would ever be caught. I Unless somebody, like, gave a clue, like, "Oh, I saw an empty book of matchsticks," or something,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
and they
kind of
were
weird
yeah.
because you know what I was going to say is you're absolutely right. Like usually, it's not determined. Like if you asked a kid, what have you been up to or something like that, a kid's able to obviously say that, right?
Right.
But if you were to put something inside of their food that they were unaware of, they certainly wouldn't be able to talk
Yeah.
about it. So,
And a
what
lot
do
of
y'all
times, in these cases where the spouse is poisoning, their partner,
right.
oh,
yeah, they end up dying because they can't they're trying to figure out what the poison was, and they just, there's just too many to test for.
right. What do y'all think about Feldman's conclusion here? And this was published in 2003, way before Gypsy Rose, so it seems like uh, that this it was a
Wow, look at
normal thing.
1970s. He's a show off, that guy.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, thank you. It seems like he was already of the conclusion that an adult child or, older child could never be considered as colluding. Now, I can see that in a case where they're actually physically hurting the child.
Right.
They've been forced to eat matchsticks and, had the stuff actually
Or if they're
poisoned in them.
unaware, totally unaware, right?
Yeah, or completely unaware. We don't think that those were the cases with Gypsy, but it sounds like,
You're
when this
impressing
was
me,
wrote about.
1970. You're impressing the hell out of me. I don't know what you're doing for her, but you're impressing me.
Thank you, baby. Yeah, for anyone new in the chat, 1970 is my husband. That's why I always call him baby.
Aw.
He's an awesome, awesome partner, Zoe. Everybody needs a husband like or a
Aw.
partner like him. But yeah, it seems like it was set up for that to always be the thought whenever someone's accused of MBP, that regardless of the age of the victim, that they could never be considered a colluder, which would have obviously played into Gypsy getting her plea
Right.
deal.
Right. I
These
agree with that.
conclusions are part of that.
Yeah, that there's no way that she's just a victim, period,
I
right? And
agree. Yeah.
yeah, and I agree with what some I don't know if you said it in a video or on a live, but one thing that you said, 1980, that really stuck with me, which I totally agree with, is around the late 90s, early, 2000s, this was like the popular thing. This Munchausen by proxy thing became
Yeah.
overblown in the news, and then you see these so-called experts popping up. They're self-proclaimed experts. You don't become an expert, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
don't go to school. I'm gonna go to the Munchausen
Hey, hey,
school.
wait a minute. Fancy is self-proclaimed. Come on.
Well, we know that. We know that.
Thank
You
you,
got a
Cherokee
super
girl.
sticker. Yeah. Go ahead.
So it just, that you said this book was written around 2003, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have also seen, like, in certain areas where, like, in I think it was Dallas area or somewhere, where the prosecutor got in with an expert, and then they had, like, this plethora of cases that just popped up, you know?
Yeah.
It's very suspect to me that
That's
I
how it
think
was
this
with Feldman in Seattle.
exactly the same, exactly. So to me, that it doesn't ring true. You just don't have a plethora of cases that just pop up in one area just because you have the so-called expert living in that area, you know?
Right.
Um, I don't think I don't think I think it's a rare disorder. I don't think that there's a ton of people. And that's the other thing he was suggesting, right? 1980, like, there's way more cases of this than we know, or something.
Yeah,
Um,
and it just seems to me, if there really was that, people actually physically harming and poisoning their child, I felt like it would be more obvious, but it sounds like it may not be. If, like you said, someone comes in poisoned and, you just have no clue what to test for because it could be
yeah,
anything. That makes sense.
I think it would be overall like, okay, like, you know, a lot of a lot of ER, kind of like it's abuse. So
Mhm.
there's a certain pattern, with these abuse
Yeah.
victims, no matter if it's a Munchausen or just physically abusing a child. You see the child ending up in the ER with suspicious circumstances over and over and over again. And then that's the red flag right there. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I mean, like, Dee Dee's pattern was always on to the next fundraiser kind of thing.
Yes,
And
exactly. I didn't notice like a plethora of ER visits. They went to the ER to
Mhm.
change her feeding tube, but besides that,
The
if she was in the ER, I noticed in the medical records she had like a legitimate issue, like she had an ear infection or.
yeah.
So
The main time I
Well,
remember Gypsy talking about going to the ER was to visit Dan.
yeah,
When she
exactly.
so
walked and hitchhiked.
So, I mean, just in all honesty, when we're talking about Gypsy and the Munchausen by proxy, it was mentioned a couple times in the record or one time in the original
One time,
record.
one
One
doctor
time
said that
said
mother
that.
is not a good historian, possible Munchausen by proxy, right? Wasn't that how it was, Becca?
Exactly how it was, and then there's
Was
this.
that so? I'm sorry.
uh,
Was that previous to the micro deletion diagnoses?
I think
I think
so.
so. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
So then that wipes that right off the table. That, in my opinion, yes.
I I think
Most of
so.
us think so,
I
but other
Yeah,
people don't.
I think she was a poor historian because she was doing the medical con, you know what I
Well,
Mhm,
mean?
not
right.
only that, but she also had Gypsy lying about things and trying to keep up with Gypsy and
Yeah,
remembering
Katie
all
was
of that stuff. I
changing
mean, I'm not saying again.
Katie was
I'm
changing
sorry.
her age and stuff.
Exact. No, no, no. Again, I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just trying just the regular Munchausen by proxy thing, just
Yeah.
that alone. I'm not saying because I know that she was in on the malingering. I know that she was in on the grift. I know this, and I don't find Dee Dee innocent of that at all. I don't. But what I'm saying is, I'm trying to just understand and give the benefit of the doubt because the I think some of the stuff was legitimate because of what the misdiagnoses that long. I mean, you don't know what's wrong with your kid. If your kid is legitimately sick, and then because you can physically see stuff like, okay, the eyes and
Right.
Yeah.
slobbering of the mouth, and even the stuff that she just grew out of, right? So,
Right.
I was
and
I
then
shocked
would
and then you got Gypsy lying upon it, on top of it as well. And you're bringing up stuff now, millennial, about Gypsy talking about that she has like a muscular dystrophy, like a mild case of. So you see what I'm saying? It's like
scoliosis.
maybe
oh
some of
god.
it you got a super sticker. So maybe some of it is definitely. I know she malingered. I know it was grift. I know that there was a crime committed. Certainly, I get that. But I think that also two things could be right. And one
Yeah.
of the two things is that Gypsy also fucked with her mom's memory, and that didn't help with things. You know what I'm
I
saying?
was
Well,
absolutely shocked to learn from actually Bree on a live trying to defend her. I did not know that Gypsy's microcephaly diagnosis was real until then.
right.
I always thought that it was
She
one of
was
the ones that Dee Dee just listed,
No, she was
as
born
part of
with
the con.
that's she was
Yeah,
born with that.
and
Yeah.
Bree was hollering on a live that, she only got the microcephaly diagnosis because her head was just 1 centimeter too
Oh, I
small, and it's like,
know.
well, 1
Just
centimeter is within the guidelines. If you're 1
exactly.
centimeter in, you have microcephaly.
Right. It's not
So
like you have like a bad case of it or a mild case of it, it's just you have it. The poor historian part is just that Dee Dee would be, I think, I like when someone's taking a history from her, sometimes she would be, vague about, like, maybe she couldn't get the year right, or she would say she was just vague. The doctor got a feeling that overall there was something she wasn't telling them. That I think
Right.
that was more of or less the poor historian part is that
well,
Yeah.
Yeah, and part of lowering her age and changing her birth date was because there are a lot of services and funds only available at
For
certain
children.
young
Right.
ages. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and
sometimes
she
she
didn't
needed
even
her to be
start
under
that till they got to
16.
Missouri because when she was in Louisiana, there was no reason to change her age, you
She
know,
actually
so
did one time in
Oh, she did?
Slidell, but it was just by 1 year, it was from
Oh,
9 to
okay.
8, and I think I couldn't find anything, but my suspicion is that 8 was the cutoff to be the Mardi Gras
Oh,
cruise
the it was a Mardi
princess.
Gras Queen thing, right?
Yes, the
Yeah,
child princess for the Mardi Gras parade.
right.
I suspect that 8 was the cutoff, and that was what started that.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
Okay, so
that
let
makes sense.
me
And to me sounds like
so how did she act? So I don't, maybe silly question, but you know what they say. Um, what was it like? Who did the cancer thing? Where was that? Where she actually was able to get in a helicopter and get the hell out of Dodge? I mean, like,
Oh,
who
from
did
she
that?
was
That
at
was
a
from Becca. That was from the doctor, the one that looks like that. She looks like, right, Doctor
no.
Becca. No.
It was
No,
a
that was a
Dr.
female
Janet
doctor.
from Springfield, and she
Right.
was at the place where Dee Dee and Gypsy were taking shelter, and Dee Dee just told her that Gypsy had cancer and all this stuff. There was no checking,
There
no
was no
doctor, no
verification of
nothing.
it, that
No,
it was
it was
In
just
just
that
she was told
stadium,
that week.
imagine in that stadium,
They
how
weren't
many
in a
people?
stadium. They were in the, shelter near Slidell.
Oh,
but it
because
was still
they were,
horrific. It was
yeah,
still a
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
horrific
yeah, it was
time.
But
horrific.
you know what? But here's the thing: like, no matter what, somebody definitely did have cancer. I guarantee you, somebody definitely did need a life back out of there, and so you know what I mean. And they didn't get it because she got it.
Yeah.
That's the thing that frustrates me about them in Southwest Missouri is I feel like Dee Dee was traumatized by Hurricane Katrina. She already had, issues and was desperate before that because of the way Rod was and her family and all that getting thrown out. We know that Dee Dee was doing desperate things, the kind of things you do to cover bills. She was making bad checks. She was selling her own medication for cash and stuff like that in Louisiana, and that sounds like desperation, and then to have Hurricane Katrina hit, we all know how horrible that was. I mean, oh my god, bodies floating in the street, just terrible, people on rooftops for days, rumors of euthanasia in the hospital because they couldn't keep the people comfortable, it was too horrific, and,
And there didn't seem to be like a quick end to that either.
oh no, it
It,
went
it
on
wasn't
for
exactly.
weeks.
It's a, and they knew it. Living in that, they knew that. You know what I
And
mean?
so
Like they knew that.
when I said earlier that, Dee Dee's pattern in Missouri was on to the next fundraiser, like Becca said, it wasn't really emergency room all the time. Like she would say new things, but you wouldn't really see a change in Gypsy, and next fundraiser. And I wonder if she wasn't so traumatized by Katrina after everything they already went through, that gave her that mindset of, "I've got to grab everything I can right now," financially with the next
I
fundraiser, the next
agree with that.
fundraiser.
Yeah,
Yeah, to
I
save up for Gypsy so that she won't
yeah.
ever be in that kind of desperate situation. Because we know Dee Dee had stacks of cash in that safe. Gypsy took several thousand and left, like, I think 11,000 in there.
Right. So, yeah, I agree with that. I think the thought of going through that Katrina thing must have been super horrific. I can't
Mhm.
imagine. And then she felt, for whatever reason, Dee Dee had been estranged from her own family at that point. And so,
Yeah, they
and
had
of
thrown her
course,
out of the house at one
he
point.
threw her out of the house. And so at that point, she's all on her own and she's homeless. And she's
Right.
got this kid, and I can't imagine. I would
And
have
then
said whatever
Katrina
they wanted
after
me to
that.
say. "What do you need me to say? Help me," you know?
Yeah,
Um,
and I think that's where, that desperation and trauma put her into the pattern of, just one fundraiser to the other. Get what we
yeah,
can, save it up, because
yeah.
it was shocking to me to realize how much cash she was saving up.
Me
It kind
too.
of when I realized it was a con, my assumption was that she was probably just blowing the money all the
Like
time.
a spendthrift, right? Just
Yeah,
never
but
on the edge, never having any cash on
Right.
hand, just yeah, and she
But that
wasn't.
wasn't the
Uh-uh.
case.
Yeah.
She had bands in that safe.
Yeah, she did. Nest egg.
Hmm.
It's really wild. It's so when you dig into those details, it's just so different than the narrative we were all fed.
Yeah.
Well, you said earlier that before she left before Hurricane Katrina, she was already changing Gypsy's date, and you thought it was because of the parade.
Yeah, because there's an interview, with a newspaper in Slidell, and it's, I think, 2004 before the hurricane or something like that, but it was the year that Gypsy would have been 9 based on her birth date, and there's an interview with quotes from Dee Dee where she talked to the reporter about Gypsy being the queen,
So
and she
Gypsy
said
would have turned 9 that year?
no, I checked the month, and she would have already been
She would have
9,
already been
and
9, okay.
yeah, and Dee Dee said she was 8, and
Okay.
so but that's, like, no big deal. I'm sure it was probably for the parade rules, and
Yeah.
are there any parents in the world who haven't walked
Yeah, but
into a
she also
restaurant with a
wasn't
small child and
Right.
said, "They're
right.
12, give them the kid's price?"
Well,
Right.
not my parents, but and not that they were any, in the goody two shoes. I don't know why they did that. And here's your husband again.
Thank you,
Um,
baby.
so, but didn't she already? Because there's mug shots of Dee Dee. So I mean, wasn't she
And the
already
bad
doing?
checks.
So what I'm saying was, she already kind of had that survival instinct. Let's just call it a survival instinct, because that's what we're talking about here. And when we're talking about it like this, right? She had to survive with her kid, who she
Yeah,
thought
that's
was
what
sick,
I
who
meant
she
when I
thought
said she
was,
was already in desperation mode.
yeah. I can imagine Hurricane Katrina scaring the hell. I'm sure it affected everybody, losing everything and what
Oh,
do you
yeah.
have and starting all over again.
Everyone I know that went through it still gets therapy, especially around the anniversary date of the storm.
Wow.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. I mean, again, people that were on the rooftops knew that they weren't coming off those rooftops. Some of them was absolutely atrocious what happened.
Oh, it's horrific. Absolutely horrific.
Hey, I have that phone call I have to do in 8
Yeah, no
minutes, so
problem.
I'm gonna have to step down, but thank you so much. I'm gonna get that book. It's called Sickened. I
Yep,
wanna get that.
second by Julie Gregory.
Okay, great. Just to tell everyone, Sunday night I have a live with the FBI agent. If you guys, I'm gonna be putting out that today, so make sure you guys look for that for
I'm
Sunday
so
night.
excited.
Cool
Can't wait
Oh,
to
beans.
see it.
Monday night. I'm sorry, Monday night. Yeah, Monday night. Oh God. All
Well,
right.
Okay.
wait a minute, Becca. I wanted to tell you before you came on that I think it was Annie Elise that was, she's pretty big. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
And well, she was just doing something with her sister, and
Mhm.
she was bringing up the Gypsy Rose case and how that whole dialogue and everything has changed now.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Oh, I have to
That's
go
so
pretty
check that
exciting.
out.
yep. So all
I
right,
All
would
right, guys. All
promote
right.
Becca's
Thanks,
channel, but I know
1980. I'll
you're
see you
all
later,
already.
Toddy.
all right. See you later.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Becca. I was gonna say I would promote Becca's channel, but I know all y'all are already subscribed to Becca. She's awesome.
Becca Scoop.
Well, that was about the end of the forward. So I guess we can go ahead and actually end and drop down too. And then we'll plan another one and go over the first chapter. And you're welcome to join in if you want to again, Toddy. I appreciate you being here.
I loved it. Absolutely, I'm learning stuff. I don't know about this stuff. This is stuff I could definitely learn. But
It's a
people are
wild
saying I'm yelling, and I'm not yelling.
your sound is just way off from what it usually is. And so
Because you
I'm
couldn't
sure it's
hear me
throwing
at
everybody
first,
off.
right? You couldn't hear me at first.
Yeah, not at first. So I had to get her louder, but it kind of goes up and down.
All
But well, I
right.
really
I'm
appreciate you
sorry.
being here, Toddy, especially last minute when I decided this.
Not a problem, my friend. You're always there for me, and I appreciate being here for you.
Thank you so
So,
much,
and
and
being
thank you
asked.
everyone in chat. Oh my God, I don't
And you
know
should promote your
how.
second channel.
Oh, thank you, Toddy. Oh, I figured out. Here's how I see the super chat. Susie Q, 1980. You're doing so awesome. Keep up the work. Thank you. 1970, 4.99. YouTube won't let me gift memberships. You figured it out though. Angel Baby gifted 1 membership. Thank you, Angel Baby. 1970, he figured it out, got on his computer and gifted 10 memberships. Susan Ryan, $5. Thank you for all you do.
I'm going to hop off. I'm going to hop off while you thank everybody. Take care, okay? And thanks again for having me.
No problem. Thank you, Toddy.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Rebrand gifted 10 memberships. And then Bella's Boys Super Chat, 1999. Thank you so much. Says, don't forget that VC Andrew Ruby book. I know you got tons going on now. Maybe we could all watch that movie, live version mirrored at a bit higher speed together on your channel. Oh, yeah. So I have looked into that book and she's reminded me before there is stuff in that VC Andrews book that is very similar to a lot of the what's the word I'm looking for? The roles that Gypsy's created for herself. Then we've got Jenna Howden, $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. And she gifted a membership. Appreciate that. Ellie, $4.95. Thank you. Mighty Mulatto. Some people eat ant piles due to iron deficiency. That was information I was not expecting today. 1970, 10 memberships again. Thank you, baby. Cherokee Girl, $1.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. Fox and Faye, super sticker, $1.49. 1970, 10 memberships. And then Forest Friend gifted a membership. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Well, I am going to go ahead and sign off here, and I hope everyone's having a good day. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. We'll see you again soon.